Hey, this is Gurds Hundal, and welcome to the Inner Light Project. This show is for anyone who's wanting to lead a happier, healthier, and enlightened life. Create more self-love, inject more joy and abundance into their daily life. Join me for inspiring interviews and spiritual topics so you can shine your inner light. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Inner Light Project. My name is Gurds Hundal, and today I want to share with you just a beautiful, bright, just goddess energy soul. I had the opportunity of meeting her at retreat in January, and my gosh, she just blew me away. She is that elder sister that you always wanted, and she has so much medicine to share with us all. Now, she's helping women to understand their bodies better. Malia Norman is a women's health and wellness leader and educator. She's a feminine wisdom and embodied leadership coach and the CEO for the Love of Cops. She is the founder of Evoke Feminine Leadership Institute and believes we can all connect to our innate wisdom, trust our intuition, and embody our sacred purpose, so we can step into our matriarchal leadership. Now, today we are going to be talking a lot about the matriarchy and what that means and how we can show up in our matriarchal energy more than ever before. Hi, Lisa. I'm so grateful to have you on the show, and thank you for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here, Gurds. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I just love how we've met and how much we have evolved in the last 3 months. And I would love for the listeners to know what your life was like before you became a breast cancer survivor.
Oh, wow. We're going to go back
We're going in.
about 10 to 15 years before I got diagnosed. I had been a midwife, so I was always involved in women's health, very passionate about the intuitive nature of our bodies as feminine beings and feminine-bodied women, especially as I saw it through the lens of childbirth. But, life happens and it takes you on a different course. And I ended up, having to go find other work for a phase in my life. Then I was getting divorced and I had 3 children, and sort of led me into the corporate arena of a working mom in that way, where I wasn't on call, because being on call as a midwife just wasn't really the schedule for being the kind of mom that I wanted at the time. And that eventually led to me being so overworked and so burned out and so out of my own skin, that literally the universe had been telling me for a long time, like, this was not the life for me. I need to get out of this job. I need to get back to where I belong, with women, in women's health, serving women, in all the ways. And I was at the time working like in a very male dominated industry. I was always the only woman in the room, and just could not have been more opposite. Not that I wasn't also, like, in some ways loving it, right? It was something kind of exciting about being able to keep up with the guys and prove myself again and again and be like, I totally got this. But also it was killing me and not for me. And that is when like I say, I use this term a lot, negotiated with my intuition that kept telling me this is not your path and it's not good for you. Not only that, it is making you sick. And I told you I had 3 daughters. And so I kept saying, yeah, I got that. I know this is terrible. But I have to keep doing this until my kids graduate from high school. I've got like 1 more year left. Just let me do this a little bit longer. And my intuition just got louder and louder, and I kept ignoring it And then I knew something was wrong, and I eventually discovered that I had breast cancer. And so I don't think any of us ever gives ourselves the disease, but I certainly left the conditions right for it to be possible. And I just know, looking back on it now, like, that was the only way that I was going to quit doing what I was doing. Like, I was just so stubborn in the moment. I had such blinders on. I was in such survival mode that I just couldn't see another way of being able to provide for myself and my family other than this. And I was probably never going to step out of it unless something this dramatic happened. I'm a Capricorn, so it gets very like I was Capricorning so hard at the time. Like I had just such blinders on. I just could not see another way. And this just really took me out and sat me down and sat me on my ass and was like, you're not doing this anymore. You're not doing this anymore. We're going to take you back to where you belong. And that's with women. And with everything I learned with breast cancer, it really just set me back on this course of, understanding our bodies, the way they communicate to us, the way we listen to them, the way we don't listen to them, and really just that information and that source of wisdom that is possible, that's always there, no matter what. And so for me, it was just connecting it to childbirth and connecting it to breast cancer. But I knew that wisdom was always there and that we didn't need a traumatic or transformative event like that to be able to tap into it. And so that's when I really just started going, okay, body, what else you got?
Oh, wow. I absolutely love your journey. And as awful it is that you have to go through what you have, it's almost like you came back home to yourself.
Oh,
And
yeah.
a lot of us don't, a lot of people don't in this lifetime. And I can really relate with what you're saying. So I was very alpha as well. Believe it or not, once upon a time, I was like a very scary journalist. Like I'd be like, get out of my way. And like very alpha energy because that is how number one, I was raised. Number two, that's how I had to be in the industry. But again, I was the same. I knew I needed to leave this job, but I wasn't. And I had a plan like, oh, maybe in 6 months' time I'll leave. And the universe had a plan. The universe made me redundant. And then a few weeks later, I had a cancer scare. And that was my life-changing moment because I was only 24 at the time. And I thought, well, my life's going to end. I may as well drink. So I was just like drinking with my friends. I'm going to die anyway. Like thinking the worst case scenario, as you would in your 20s. Like, kid, I'm going to die. Let's go.
Oh, Gurds, I could sadly see you doing this.
You know what I'm like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just the whole like it was at the end of like towards Christmas and then I was like panicking and then the new year and I just remember saying whatever happens happens now. I can't change what's going to happen and just go with the flow. And I remember walking into the hospital and again when you're young, I sat down and there was nobody in the room and I said to myself, what have I done to deserve this? And I heard a voice, you created this. And there was
Mm,
nobody in the room. And I thought, oh my God, great. Now I'm going crazy. So I'm going to die.
mm-hmm.
I'm going crazy. What is going on with me? And then I got my results. They misdiagnosed me, thank God. And then I ran out of the hospital and I heard it's time to heal. And I have never looked back. Had that not have happened, I would have not changed my career. I would not change
Right.
my life. I wouldn't have done the inner work. And
Yeah.
so you're right. I think sometimes some of us who are very like strong-headed, we need a serious thing to happen for us to shift because we're not listening to the small little nudges the universe is giving us. So then
Mm-hmm.
the universe goes, hey, here's a big one. Right. What are
Yep.
you going to do now?
Yeah. Yeah. I've decided I'm gonna start listening to those small little ones because I've done that enough times now where it's like, oh, this is an argument that I actually am not gonna win. So might as well actually just get on board with what the universe and my body are trying to tell me. They're actually a lot smarter than I am,
They tell
turns
us
out.
before we know, right? So our
Yeah.
bodies tell us before we know. And so that's one thing I wanted to discuss is it's so interesting. And I wonder why women don't trust our bodies more.
Mm,
Why
mm.
would you say that is?
Oh gosh, I think there's just so many ways we've been taught and told to outsource our confidence, our knowing, our approval. Like,
Mm.
I think it starts out with approval first when we're little. Um, that whole whatever a good girl is. Um, and all the ways that we are taught to seek validation and acceptance and approval. And none of that values or respects anything outside of the box, anything intuitive, anything that looks messy or outside the lines. Um, and then you add on that just sort of, patriarchy, religion, school, all the things that just put you in a smaller and smaller box so that you can be palatable to society. And, I know for so many of us, when our rites of passage have just been stripped away, right? Like there's very few initiatory examples of menarche, childbirth, and all those things. A lot of them have just been really stripped of their meaning and significance, and our relationships with our elders and the wise ones, and our relationship to aging. Like it could just go on and on and on. But there's so many ways that we've just been conditioned to outsource our confidence. And I think that's really what comes down to, is just being able to trust ourselves, because I think ultimately we know, right? Ultimately, there's a voice inside of us that we can tap into, that we hear, and we negotiate ourselves out of it all the time, because there's a bit of, oh, that's crazy. Oh, nobody would do that. Oh my gosh, what would other people think? Or, and the trust, right? Just that confidence and the self-trust to know that what you believe and know to be true is actually correct and needed and actually necessary. And that, you might sound a little bit, you might sound a little bit out of the box, but that's actually probably what we need.
I love that, what you're saying, because I remember years ago there was somebody I knew, and he was dating this girl, woman. Oh, I don't know why I'm saying girl. That's the patriarchy.
I actually love the word girl, but yes.
True. And he's like, she doesn't trust herself. And I was like, of course she doesn't know how to trust herself. A lot of women don't know how to trust ourselves, because we've been stripped off knowing how to trust ourselves. From a young age, we're taught to listen to this elder, listen to this guy, listen to this person. Women, it's like generational back. Like we have to peel off the layers in order to trust ourselves. Then we're able to trust our bodies more. Because I feel that a lot of us can't trust our bodies because we've been taught to be separate from it, instead of being whole and connected and nourishment and loving ourselves. And it really got me thinking, how many women in the world don't know how to trust themselves? We're made to feel dependent on others, but actually we are the ones that hold the power and the wisdom and the knowledge, and our ancestors have it, but somewhere down the line history stripped us away from it. And it's almost like a lot of us are going through like dark moments of the soul, is because we're coming back to our ancestral medicine and our intuition than ever before.
Yeah, which I love, because it's not, that's by design, right? We're not, anybody feeling that right now is not alone, right? Yeah. There's a lot of women that are feeling this right now, that like, okay, things really are changing. And, the lineage and the ancestors and all of that wisdom really wants to be revived in a new way, right? To be seen and felt and healed in many ways, I feel like, because so much of it has been suppressed over the last couple generations, I would say, especially.
When did you start to trust yourself, would you say?
I feel like I really, it kind of came and went, right? Like there's moments where I thought I was, I convinced myself that I was, right? But when I always knew that my body was incredibly wise and very capable. My problem came when I thought I could use it like a tool rather than it guiding and informing me, right? I tried to flip the way it was being used. And I think that's a very patriarchal thing, is to like dominate your body. I was just going to make it do certain things. I was going to make it look a certain way. I was going to make it function a certain way, rather than doing what I knew in the beginning, that I discovered. For me, it was really pregnancy, and as a midwife, just really letting the body guide and lead, letting it tell me, letting it inform me. And so coming back to that, like you said, I came back to myself. It was like, oh yeah, this works the other way around. And just in doing that, I think I had to make some really hard choices through my diagnosis journey and getting my medical care, where I had to make a lot of what were unconventional and unpopular choices. I was getting a lot of opinions, a lot of feedback from different doctors, from different medical teams, from loved ones, from friends, coworkers. Like everybody had an opinion on what I should do, and mine was actually completely different from all advice. And I wrestled with it for such a long time. But I think eventually when you start to just know that I'm going to disappoint people, people are going to disapprove, my doctors aren't going to agree, right? Like so many of these things can translate to other areas of life where I'm going to make the choice that I know is best for me, and not everybody is going to get it. And I'm going to be okay with that. I have to get okay with that. Yeah. And that's where that self-trust of not just like trusting yourself, but then getting okay with however that's going to play out, and just like knowing so deeply that I got me. My people are going to have me too, right? But ultimately, I'm okay with whatever the ramifications and, other people's thoughts belong to them. They're not for me.
Wow, I love that. And yeah, again, I hear what you're saying. Like, I feel like in the early stages of when we're trusting our intuition, it's just like a little bit, no, I should ignore that. And then we start to listen again. But again, when I had my kidney problem, I couldn't rely on the consultants, like you said. Like I had to make decisions because lots of consultants were saying remove the kidney, but my intuition was saying keep it. So I either had to listen to what they said or trust my gut. And in the end, I started to trust my gut and become kind of like yourself, I guess. We both became doctors of our own bodies. We had no choice.
Yeah.
We had to figure everything out. And I think when you're in that situation, you do become more in tune with your body and what your needs are and what kind of foods you want to eat. What is it that works for you and your body? That is something I've realized. And I think a lot of women, again, it's learning. It shouldn't have to be a health condition to get to that situation. We should be able to early start. But again, it's doing that inner work to be able to start to trust in that wisdom from within. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you start to implement unapologetic joy into your life?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love that. It's almost that same answer, because as I was doing this, as I mentioned before, I started realizing where it could apply to other areas of my life. And I live a very unconventional life, and it does, I think people are getting used to it now, but for a while, you're a divorced woman with 3 kids, and people just want to know when you're going to get remarried. When are you going to settle down, right? Because, I'd already done that, but I wasn't planning actually to do that again. I thought I'm not going to, partner up with anybody till my children are raised, and all the things. I didn't want to go through another big disruption and break like that. And I really wanted to just be as stable in that way as I could, but also discovering who this next version of me was going to be and what this work was going to look like. And I had a new lens and a new outlook now, and I wasn't going to go back to that way of living, right? So there was some realizations that you get when you go through something like that of what really matters and what's really important to you. And in that moment, I had made some new vows to myself, and that involved deep listening and trust with my body first, right? So I knew everything was going to start here. And that meant I was going to do everything differently. And that meant that I was going to say no to a lot of the things that I had said yes to before. And I was going to not break these new vows that I had made with my body. I was not going to put myself in that position again. And so you have to practice it though, because it's not easy at first. And again, you have to let people be disappointed in you. You have to let them worry about you, because there's a lot of people that just love you are like, are you okay?
Yeah.
You're like, well, actually never been better. So, for lack of a better word, people are like, so what are you doing with your life, hun? This, I thought you were going to go back to that job and things were just going to go back to normal. And I just like that version of normal is not for me. And so this is what we're going to do now. And these are the rules we're breaking. And this is how it's going to be. And I honestly think we need a little bit more of that.
I so love this because you are joy. Like from the moment we met, so we actually met at a retreat we're part of a sister circle, and the moment I met Lisa, she just stood there and she's in this goddess energy and she's just so connected to nature. And I was like, wow, this woman is amazing. And I really see that you live joy and live life on your own terms. And being somebody who's very similar, I'm kind of the opposite in a way. I've never been married, never had kids. I'm 39 this year, which sounds crazy how life goes so fast. But again, people
Yeah.
really are worried about me. And I'm like, but I'm
Right.
good.
Right.
But they're like, no, but are you okay? I'm like, yes, because it's about being present. And I think a lot of people like when everyone met me, I'm just in joy because I lived a very serious life growing up. And one thing I realized is the more we spend in joy, the more happier we are, the more present we are. But also, we're healing that inner child. She just wants to play, and I'm letting her play. If she wants to go
Yeah.
running around on the beach, she can do that. If she wants to give presents to people, I go give that. Like, whatever she
Wasn't it the
wants.
most fun?
It so was, honestly. Oh, it was a joy being there and being with all of you. Just we were all
Yeah.
like our little inner childs were out playing and having joy. And I think we forgot about our daily lives and what was
Yeah.
going on. And we're just a bunch of, yeah, young girls running around being free and
Yeah. It
letting
felt
the
very
medicine.
free. Yeah,
Yeah.
very liberating, very free, but also just very nurturing, right? So we could all just really hear and trust ourselves in a way and in an environment that supported us being able to even hear our own selves.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so fascinating. Like, so in the group, like you're the elder.
I am, I know.
And I'm the
Ah,
young one, and we're just
you're the
like
babe.
sat together and just there is so much like I feel there's so many similarities in many ways. And so when I hear you, I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Like it's like
Yeah, no, I can see that. That's true for both. I can see the similarities. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
it's really
yeah.
wild because I can imagine you get a lot of the similar questions of when are you going to settle down and all the things.
Oh, believe me, I was at a funeral the weekend and that was the hot topic. So when are you getting married? I'm like, I'm just here for the funeral. Thank you. Like, thank you for worrying about me, but I'm
Mm,
okay. But then it
yeah,
became a conversation, but yeah, parents are older and you've got to think about that. I'm like, so now I need to sacrifice my life to appease family. Yeah, I could end up with the wrong person. Okay, we're not going to do that.
mm-mm, yeah,
I'm going to trust my gut and the universe has a plan. And I think that's where women I've noticed is that before we lived on society's timelines, but actually when we live on our own timeline, everything flows. Joy
hmm
flows, life flows, abundance flows, and the right people come into our life.
yeah,
Medicine.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that joy is highly underrated. I think there's a lot of information in our joy.
Mm.
Um, and if we allowed just a little bit more of that or a lot more of that, I feel like some of these things that we think are problems can be resolved quite with a lot more ease. And maybe they aren't even problems at all. But gosh, joy, I feel like at this stage of my life, I was like, oh, why did we not spend more time cultivating joy? Yeah.
Life would be a lot easier. That's what I think. When we have joy, life is easy.
I mean, it's just, we're going to go through challenging things, right? No matter
Yeah.
what. You and I have both been there. But yeah, I think joy is just underrated. Like we talk about healing a lot and we talk about our inner child a lot, but what about like today, right now? Like what is
Mm.
joyful? Like we don't have, it doesn't have to exist somewhere in the future or somewhere in the past. Um, I think it's something we can actively cultivate a relationship with.
Yeah. And I have noticed in England, because British energy, like, I don't know how to put it into words, it's quite a serious energy. You're very
Mm-hmm.
all well put together, everything is perfect. but we don't show joy. Like we're meant to be
Mm-mm.
very serious and, and now that I'm so free, people just stare at me like, what is wrong with him? Like, but that is life. Like life is being joyful. That is just, again, the conditioning that we've been raised into.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's sad that if you're happy, people think you are like not okay. Like, what is that?
They're like, what have you taken? I'm like, nothing. Do you drink? I'm like 13
Yeah,
years sober. And they're like,
right.
what the? I'm like, just life.
It's such an unfamiliar emotion for so many people. I mean, that's actually kind of sad.
It is. Yeah. It really is. And I think when we do the peeling off the layers of what's holding us back, I think that's
Hmm.
where true joy is. But a
Hmm.
lot of us are not doing that. And I think that's why
No.
people are so stuck in their
Hmm.
emotions, their feelings. And yeah, it's why we really, as women, need to come back home and do that work because then we can love our bodies, as you were saying, and, nurture
Hmm.
ourselves. But then that joy will come out naturally if we allow ourselves to be free.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it comes out naturally in good circles, right? With good women that you are right dropped in with, tuned in with, that you can trust. Like it happens naturally. All honestly, all you have to do is get out of the way of it. Like it wants to be there.
Yeah, yeah. Like even this weekend, like as I was mentioning to everyone in the group, like it was very serious what happened, and I got into the group call today that we have, and my heart just healed in 5 minutes. I'm like, wow, because there's so much love and there's so much
Mm,
joy around all of us that we, as women, we are here to support one another.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
yeah. Can you tell us about Evoke Feminine Leadership?
Yeah, thank you. So, it's the name of my institute. It's the coaching practice that I have outside of my nonprofit that's breast cancer related. Um, to really gather women that are on this journey, women in leadership, women discovering what their feminine leadership looks like and feels like, um, wherever the path that they're on as we untangle leadership in a patriarchal sense and yet still, the funny thing that comes up a lot is women are worried they're going to lose their edge if they become a feminine leader, right? If what if I accept my femininity and I'm like, oh honey, you will not lose your edge. Trust me, you're going to sharpen it. This is actually not for the weak, and it is not subtle, but it's different, right? And so I just noticed that in the work I was doing with my clients and for myself, I for me personally, the vows that I made, but I also began to understand that what I was going through was not just unique to me, that there's this untangling and this unhooking from what we've been taught the roadmap to success was, or what we were taught the roadmap to leadership was, and the lack of feminine wisdom in these spaces when we're designing businesses. And I noticed a lot of women making those, I don't want to call them mistakes, but following those same patterns, even though it was a woman leading a business, it was a female entrepreneur, but still following all those same systems. And
Mm.
so because I had gone through it for myself, complete changed the narrative, created different systems, different frameworks, all feminine oriented, all matriarchal oriented, life giving solutions, life giving frameworks, life giving embodiment to the work that we're doing, driving what fuels us, transforming some of these things and these harms that have been done so that we can build legacies that last, that give
Mm.
life. That aren't burning us out. I mean, ultimately, it started from like seeing so many brilliant, beautiful, much needed women just burning themselves out, like I did, right?
Yeah.
And that's what broke my heart. Like, we can't have women going down like this. We need you. We need to do this in a different way. And so that's why I developed the feminine framework and Evoke Feminine Leadership.
I really love this because I remember when women started to get into business more than ever before online, and that everybody was doing the old way where we burn ourselves out, but that's not how women are meant to be. So I
Yeah.
love that you are guiding them to say, hey, it's okay to be in your feminine and you can still be in your power because a lot of us haven't been taught how to do that.
No, No, none of us have hardly been shown it. Maybe we saw it here or there, but yeah, we haven't really seen what that looks like in the world.
Yeah. What is your, because this term is coming up out more than ever before, how would you describe the matriarchy?
Mm. Yeah, it is fun to see it out in the world a lot more. I mean, as somebody who's been, using hashtag the matriarchy for like 15, 20 years, however long hashtags have been around, it's fun to see people talking about it now,
Mm.
more openly because I was the freak out there and they'll calling for this. Be like, what is she talking about? Um, but it's exactly what I was saying, that these are life-giving solutions, right? The matriarchy centers life. It is not necessarily man versus woman. It's the feminine wisdom, the energy
Mm.
of it is not even belong to male or female, but typically it is women that carry this wisdom because we understand what it is to give life, to nurture life, to sustain life, right? Um, and so when you start to apply those principles into frameworks, right, into a belief system, in a way of orienting yourself and the decisions that you make in yourself and in your business, because it affects the whole. So the matriarchy really takes the collective whole into consideration, not just in what you're trying to accomplish, but also in the impact it's having. And it has a really beautiful way of going full circle, with the lens of like, okay, what did we do? What did we accomplish? How did it really impact us as a community, and as an organization, and as a people, and as a body, and as a mother, and as a
Mm.
family? It looks and feels and can tap into the whole collective and see how supportive it is, and if it's really working. It's not a single oriented measure of success the way that a patriarchal system would be, in an extractive way where it's just like going bigger, better, more and more and more and more numbers, where the winner takes all type of structure. um, it's a measure of success where the whole is benefiting.
Yeah. I love how you've explained that because it does feel like we are entering a stage of community of women who are really supporting one another more than ever before. And it's not just women, like you said, it's for all of us to
Hmm.
be held and to be understood. And I think the patriarchal system doesn't teach that. It's all about division and keeping us separate and competing with one another.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's, yeah, I hear some of that pushback when people say, well, we had a woman in charge and she still did. And I've said, yeah, I know. A lot of women can be more patriarchal than men sometimes, right? It's because almost they had to fight harder to secure that one spot at the table that was available to them, right?
Mm.
They had to be even more competitive. They had to sacrifice even more than many of the men did to get there. And so, yeah, that is exactly how that happens. And, um, there wasn't a lot of, women supporting women, right? Because we were taught to compete with each other, and there was only one seat at the table. And so that's a lot of the conditioning and the repatterning that needs to happen. And that's where a lot of the sister wounds come from, because we were pitted against each other, right? So there's a lot of healing that needs to happen because, as you mentioned, this is something that the matriarchy does together. Like we can't do the matriarchy alone. Like that's like it. That's like it does. That doesn't work. That's not how it's done. So we have to turn to each other. We have to look at each other. We have to recognize where those patterns came from, so we can drop them and build trust and build community and build frameworks that
Mm.
sustain us and lift us all up.
Love that. Yeah. I think maybe you've been in the same situation, but when I was in my old career, I had to become an alpha female because everybody was pitting against each other. And it was like I had to make sure that I was, unfortunately, safe. I thought it was safe, but it was scarcity.
Hmm.
And that's what the patriarchy is. It's scarcity, and matriarchy is safety. And I think that's why so many of us struggle to be in that safety energy because all we have known is the survival mode. not just
Yeah.
us, but our mums, our great grandmas, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really about coming back again and sitting with ourselves and allowing ourselves to be held in
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood, in medicine, in support networks, and shifting this toxic way of being that we've lived for so many years.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, yes, I could go on right now. You've got me fired up.
Let's go.
It's here we go.
I'm ready.
The piece of this, what we're just talking about, this get burning yourself out, right? Be in this when you're in this competitive phase, and what's happening now, culturally in the divisive interwebs, in the conversation around feminism and what that is, and people very misguidedly calling this the problem with feminism, right? That us burning ourselves out is a result of feminism and feminine leadership. And I tell you, I have such a problem with that, because that's not feminism. That is the patriarchy using you, right? And them trying to flip it on you and then blaming you for putting yourself in that position. But that's not feminism, that's patriarchy. And feminine leadership is very different.
Yeah. And there was something actually when I woke up this morning and I wrote it down and I will post it at some point, but it was like we've been taught and men have been taught that women are the problem. So like women are actually not the problem, it's patriarchy, but they've been stuck in this pattern that believing that women are the problem because there's
Mm,
people at the top of patriarchy who are the elites who are making men separate themselves from women to think we
yeah.
are the problem. And then women are then trying to, back in the day, attract men in a patriarchal way when all of it is bullshit.
Hmm.
We were meant to be in the matriarchy, but there's somebody at the top that has created this system that we then believe each other is the problem when really we're never the problem. And like you said,
Hmm.
I feel a lot of men are blaming women, saying, "Oh, the feminism, or it's women that are the issues." It's not that we're the issue; it's the system itself that's the issue, and
Yeah.
we have to
It's not
break
even
that.
benefiting most men, to be honest.
Ah,
It's not
they
benefiting them either.
they're not allowed to show their emotions. They're not meant to cry. They're meant to be this energy, like macho energy. That is patriarchy.
Yeah.
Whereas matriarchy is like, let's cry, let's go, like let's hold each other. It's so fascinating to see how people are behaving in this time as the patriarchy is collapsing and the matriarchy is rising up.
Yeah.
We could go on about this phrase. I can feel it already. My brain's like, oh my God, this, that. But I would love, because we're coming towards the end of the show, I would love to ask you about your charity for the Love of Cups.
Thank you so much for asking. I've been doing this work for, since 2015 officially. Like I said, I had a background in women's health, and when I went through my own journey, I was pretty horrified to see how many gaps and barriers and holes in the system there were. And for somebody like me, whose mom is also a two-time breast cancer survivor,
Wow.
to be in shock by what I was learning and discovering and coming up against. I had resources, I had information, I had education, I had all the things. I'm a white woman, and I just was dumbfounded at how hard the journey was for me, how much misinformation that was. And so I thought, if somebody like me is facing these types of barriers, what must it be like to somebody that doesn't have these resources and this information at hand? And especially where it came to dense breast tissue, and ensuring that all women have access to early detection and the benefits that come with early detection and accurate screenings for their dense breast tissue type. I just couldn't sleep at night. So I had to do something. And that's when I formed my organization. And we have a new program that we're launching this year, the Clear Pathways program, to ensure that everyone receives the benefit of early detection and ending the disparity in breast cancer outcomes. So I would be happy to share any resources, links in your show notes for people to find more information on that. And just also know that I'm like such an open book. If you need to reach out and have any questions, here for all of it. If you can't find what you need on the website.
We will have it in the show notes. And I love that you're doing this because, we don't have so much knowledge about our women's bodies in general as well. And so
Yeah.
breast cancer is such a huge, even in the UK, it's huge. Like there is still a lot of awareness about it. I think it's only in the
Hmm.
last few years that there's been conversations, but I don't remember growing up saying, hey, you need to check your boobs. Like,
Yeah.
is it this shape? Is it that shape? Yeah, no one's ever mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, I will say very quickly, my PSA is you don't know if you have dense breast tissue by touching them.
Wow.
You have to get a mammogram to get diagnosed. You in the US, it started age 40, but that may or may not be the case depending on your risk factors. But there's four categories of dense breast tissue. Right now, only 3% of women are coming back for that supplemental screening. You need an ultrasound or an MRI to screen dense breast tissue. So 50% of women have dense breast tissue. That's a lot of women walking around the streets that need the supplemental screening. And it's imperative that you get it because otherwise your mammogram is inconclusive. A mammogram cannot read through dense breast tissue. You must get an ultrasound or an MRI, especially if you're a category 3 or 4, what they call C or D of breast density. So you've got to advocate, and it's so worth it. I know it can feel so challenging and frustrating in some cases to advocate for that supplemental screening, which is exactly why we're doing the Clear Pathways program. But, depending on where you're at, it's worth it. And it's worth the frustration to make sure that you get access to that care because you deserve it. You deserve access to an early detection if that's the path that you're on.
Thank you for sharing. And we will put everything in the show notes. Please send everything and we will put it in there because it's so important. I can't believe 50%. I'm in shock. Like I thought it was only like maybe 20%. I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was 50. Wow.
Yeah, it's the biggest hole I would say in our medical system because it affects so many women and so many of us are barely even discovering what that means.
Gosh, we do need more information and awareness. But
Yeah.
yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing. And I've got two more questions, I would say. Like,
Yeah.
what are your five top tips for someone who wants to embody their sacred purpose, but they don't really know where to start?
I know that's such a juicy question. And I'm also like, ooh, where do I start with that? Because this is another one where I'm like, how many days do you have? Let's sit in a ceremony. Um, I think in some ways it gets to be a little bit of exploration, right? Like you have to start trusting yourself a little bit. Get curious with yourself, play with your intuition a little bit.
Mm.
Start noticing where your intuition is talking to you, and it can be really simple things that bring you pleasure and delight and joy, and little decisions throughout your day to just bigger wild ones that just feel good, right? So starting to really feel into what your body and your intuition are trying to tell you, and then build that relationship of, oh, okay, I hear you. You're telling me to go pick that red flower over there. Fine. It's weird. Maybe I'll do that. Or drink the 2% milk versus the non-fat milk, right? Like it could just be like little pings that you get, just like follow through with it and see what happens, right? And I know that sounds very silly, but it just brings a level of awareness of consciousness to disrupting your thought pattern and taking you out of this checklist, right? Like this, you've already got like an idea in your head and you're going to go and do the thing. Well, maybe, but maybe not. Like how much can we play with what's already right in front of you, what you're already doing? And as far, I think the question was embodying it, right? So
Yeah.
that connection with body. When you're defining your sacred purpose, right? And that thing that makes your heart ache and that thing that makes your heart sing, they're usually one and the same. So I think really paying attention to that, right? Letting your heart feel all the big emotions, the joy and the grief, and allowing yourself permission to feel both of those things, knowing that they don't have to be separate. So I think what happens so often for women is that we wear a lot of hats and we learn to separate ourselves in almost every arena that we show up in. I'm going to
Mm.
show up as a mom here. I'm PTA president there. I'm the coworker here and I'm the wife there, right? And so we're almost just shape shifting all day long and it's exhausting.
Mm.
And I think the less we can do that and the more we can just start playing with our own energy and allowing, instead of shape shifting to fit into all the molds, we just get to show up as our whole and full selves in these places without leaving any parts of ourselves behind at the door. And it really is just, it's a practice. It's like a scavenger hunt every time you decide not to check some part of yourself at the door, not to fragment any part of yourself to show up in a certain place, giving yourself permission to let people be uncomfortable, to let yourself be a little bit uncomfortable, and then realize like, oh, actually that felt amazing, right? So it's a little, maybe it feels a little bit scary, maybe it feels a little bit amazing, but just trusting yourself enough to start to play with that energy, I think, because I know you already feel it in your heart and your soul, right? Like the people listening to this episode right now, they already know, right? There's already something speaking deep in their soul. And so just giving yourself permission to hold it and move with it. Let it guide you, right? Let it inform you rather than you directing it. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yeah. Thank you for those beautiful tips. That they're amazing. Like it's
Mm,
yeah, there's so much beauty there that I feel. And what I do want to ask you is, what are you most grateful for?
mm, yeah. Um, I am grateful. Oh, do I have to say one thing?
You can say as many as you want. There is no limitation.
I just, I love life. I love love, and I love that I get to experience it in this body, and that we have like all these senses to feel with: touch, sound, heart, emotion. Like, I want to feel it all. I want to taste it all. So I just think that's what I'm most grateful for, because that allows me to have relationships. It allows me to do my work that I love. It allows me all the other things that are so great in my life that I'm so grateful for. But I think that's the essence of where it comes from.
Oh, I love that. And my last question is,
Mm.
what shines your inner light?
Oh, say that again.
What shines your inner light?
What shines it?
Mm.
Ooh. Oh gosh. Okay, now I'm not even sure I understand the question, but like,
What does it feel for you?
I don't know, when I could go so many ways with this. It's almost like cleaning my mirror for me, like what cleans my mirror and makes me sparkle just a little bit more, helps me see the reflection in my own eyes a little bit more.
Ooh.
And I think it's always when I get to see that light in other people, like my daughters, my mother, the women
Mm.
that I love and adore. I always say that like I'm inspired by my mom and I'm motivated by my daughters. But then it's also being shoulder to shoulder with other women, right? When we look each other in the eye and we're just like, I know, I got you. We got each, like, we're both like on that plane. And I love it. I love women, and I love what's possible when we can see each other's crowns, when we can look each other in each other's eyes and be like, yeah, you're a badass. And we got this.
Thank you, Lisa, for being on the show and following your journey and trusting from within what your soul is here to do in this world. And I love who you are and who you've become, the work that you're doing and helping so many women to heal from within. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gurds, for having me. It's been such a delight to get to know you. You are so full of wisdom and joy. Like when I think about that scavenger hunt of like discovering, like it's like you just bring that. You're like, ooh, I thought of you with this, and it's just, yeah, you just like are the embodiment of that to the millionth degree, and I'm so grateful, so grateful. Thank you.
You're so sweet. And when you called me Mary Poppins, I was just laughing my head off. It was so cute. That's all I want to say.
I mean, not in the nanny kind of sense, but just in the joy sense. Like you
Yeah.
bring joy wherever you go. You make everything feel like it makes sense in things that wouldn't ordinarily make sense. And you empower everyone around you, right? Like you shine that mirror. You're the person polishing up all the mirrors going like, see who's here for you. We got you.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're so sweet. And I love you and how you are. And when you speak, it's just so much like beauty and wisdom, and it is knowledge. Like I feel like you are my elder sister. Like you literally are guiding me. Like if I feel upset and like we're in our calls, like you say the most amazing things, and I'm like, thank you. Thank you. And you feel like I feel so safe and supported around you. I just, yeah, you've got me.
Same, same. Thank you,
you.
Gurds.
Wow, wow, wow. What a beautiful conversation with Lisa. It's so important to really trust in our bodies and in ourselves and in the medicine of what we're here to do, and to let go of the patriarchal energy that we've grown up with and to really embrace the matriarchy. Because when we embrace the matriarchy, we are supporting each other. We're allowing ourselves to receive with ease, with wisdom, and with joy. Now, if you want to learn more about Lisa, visit her website, and all her details are in the show notes below. Unfortunately, that's the end of the show. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this quote. A little more matriarchy is what the world needs, and I know it. Period. Paragraph. That's a quote by Dorothy Thompson. Now, if you're struggling to liberate your mind, body, and spirit from patriarchal people pleasing, and you really want to take your power back and trust the wisdom from within, visit my website at www.gurdshundal.com and check out my program, The Liberation Alchemy. It's a 4-month program to help you to liberate your mind, body, and spirit from all the patriarchal patterns that you have grown up with, and to really set you free so you can step into your power and your wisdom. And remember, stay happy, stay healthy, stay
Lit.